Welcome to Disc Flex Certification.
We said that we're going to teach you how to do this. And this is so exciting because, um, it's like opening up a window. Actually, it's like getting a head explosion with a lightning bolt, and then the light bulbs just get electrified in your mind when you're looking at what subfactors are and the window that is opened to behavior and behavior moderation and flexing when you know about subfactors. This is amazing. We're one of the only companies in the world that do this, and we are, I think, the best at it. We take a lot of time with subfactors. We do a lot of coaching. It's really important for your certification to understand this. So I would highly recommend that you go to this page and study it. So there are only 12 subfactors. So if we take our 4 disc factors and we look at the relationship between each one, the D's relationship with the I, the D's relationship with the S, the D's relationship with the C, and you can't have a relationship D to D. So for each of the factors, you're going to have the other 3 factors in play, and that's how we make up our subfactors. So it's a relationship between the D and the I, the D and the S, the D and the C, with the D dominating. And then you're looking at the same thing with the I, with the D relationship, with I dominating over D, over S and over C. Then you've got your S relationship where your S dominates over D, I, and C. And then finally your C relationship where your C dominates over D, I, and S. And those are the subfactors. And there are only 12 of them, and they all have names. So the behavior that you exhibit when your factor is in play is profound, because it is where one of your factors is governing and completely wiping out the other one, or having dominance over it and not letting that opposing subfactor in. So the driving subfactor, what we call the driving subfactor, has dominance over everything else. So in this report, you're going to find that we don't give them all 12, the participant. It's too confusing. So what we do is we concentrate on the top 3 driving subfactors, so that when you're coaching an individual, you can have rich conversations about that, what that means to their behavior, that these subfactors are governing, that they're driving their behavior. And then, of course, you want to know what your strengths are, your behavioral strengths are, or what's governing in your behavior. You also want to know what you don't have, what your natural not go-to behaviors are, the ones that are opposing, that are not dominant, not governing, not driving. So those are called opposing. So we give the participant the top 3 driving behavioral subfactors and the opposing ones, the ones that will least come into play in their behavior, so that if they need them, they can build the skill sets, or they can make some plan so that they're not caught unawares that behavior needs to come into play, so that they really need to know how to flex those behaviors when they need one that is way down there on the opposing side. And that's a skill set you can bring and teach for short or long periods of time. So let's get started with what these subfactors are. I'm going to go right into, now that you know that there's 12 of them, I'm going to go right into the pairings and explain them in detail in this certification. So let's do that right now. The first one we're going to start with is the relationship between D, dominance, and I, influence. And you'll notice on this next slide that when dominance is greater than influence, this is called efficiency. And what it means is that your more extroverted I tendencies are completely overpowered by your D up here. And it's not letting the I have any behavioral preference at all in your nature. So really what happens when this happens is that there's a word for it. It's called efficiency. You want stuff done. You want it done the best, the quickest, the cheapest, whatever it is that your priority or parameter is in efficiency, but you want that done. And you don't really care about other people. You want it done your way. And that is called efficiency. So hopefully. Now remember, these subfactors are the optimal governing position, where the D governs judiciously over the I. So that is called efficiency, okay? Now, on the other side of the spectrum, And there's behaviors above that that are not efficient that we're going to talk about in a little while. But on the other side, when the I comes up and dominates over the D, this is the I over here, that extroverted is dominating when you're more people oriented. When you think, okay, well, we don't have to get it done right now. I can listen to people. I can hear them. I can validate them. Whatever it is those people behaviors are. But in the workplace, it's called friendly. You are a friendly teammate. You commune with them. You're friendly. So that behavior here at an optimal is friendly. Now, if it tilts above that, where you don't think about getting things done in this relationship, then it can tilt to the other side. So let's look at what those behaviors look like on a spectrum. Now, remember that this is based on the differences between people. Now, what I want to do is go into the slide, which is really cool. I want to go into this slide that talks about what happens in somebody's. I want to talk about what happens in somebody's actual profile. So let's look at that slide, and then we're going to come back to where we are. So what we want to do is look at where this person really is on the spectrum, and have some coaching moments. So we talked about the person who had this really big gap, 65-point gap and spread. So if you look at that in terms of this chart, you look at, there's a 50-point spread where the dominance is 50 points above the I. And we're looking at a situation where it's not optimal. We're not looking at efficiency anymore. We're looking at something that tilts above efficiency in a more negative fashion. So as you're going down this, and I highly recommend you get these charts out and really look at this graph. And I usually, when I'm coaching people, I'll look at the exact spread, whether it's 30 points or 50 points or 65 points, whatever it is, and I'll go, this is what this means. That when your D is so high above your I, it's tending to be negative, and that's why we're sitting and having this coaching conversation before, that you're doing things not in an efficient way, you're doing it in a rushed way. So we need to bring that D down a little bit, maybe 5 to 10 points, so that we can get into the optimal range. Now, if you look at what the way up on a D is compared to an I, the more governing, you're going to find that at the top end, at the very negative side, it's going to look rushed. And of course, there's times when rushing is good because you have to get a deadline done, but it's not a go-to mode. You want to be efficient, not rushed. And then the next one is, if you bring it down just a notch from rushed, you can get to tunnel vision. All right, I'm not rushed. I've shut my door. I'm not being friendly anymore, and I'm just going to get this thing done. Well, that's tunnel vision. Well, that's not optimal either, because you can alienate people. So you bring it down a little bit further, maybe 5-point difference, and squish that D down and bring that I up. And now you've got efficient. Now, if you want a situation where your behavior needs to be efficient, you're going to bring your D up and you're going to lower your I and make that spread be going to the efficient side. So we all need to do that at one stage or another. And being able to flex that behavior and know what it is very important. So I'm going to run down point by point, and knowing that there's maybe a 5-point spread between the words and the behaviors that emanate from them. So what's going to happen is, at the very top end, we're looking at rushed, we're looking at tunnel vision. Now we're looking at efficient, which is that optimal, where you're being efficient and you're doing it by design, letting that D dominate over that I. Now you're looking at laser focused, which is good. Okay. Now you bring it back down, you're being direct. Then you bring it down a little bit more towards the friendly side, and direct goes to assertive, which is not bad at all. We often need to be assertive at work or in our personal lives. And then bring it down a little bit more. You're going to be performance driven. Bring it down a little bit more, that gap. And you're going to see that you're productive, getting things done, but not steamrolling over people. It's called productive. And now that is where the D and the I are equal, where that governing of the D has come down and is not overpowering the I. It's sitting right here in their relationship. So it's productive. That's a really good place to be. You're being productive. And now, if you look at the chart, you'll notice that the D, the red, is over here. Now it starts going down, and we're starting to see the influence of the I coming in, where the I is now overpowering or over-governing the D and kind of tamping it down a little bit. So you go from productive, which is even, nobody's dominating other, to now the communication side comes in. The extroverted side starts coming in. So you're looking at effective communication, then the I goes up a little bit more. You're looking at inclusiveness. Now you're looking at being social. The gap is even further. The D is down, the I is rising. You're looking at accepting, you're looking at kind. Now you're looking at friendly, which is a great behavior to have in a team environment. If you're friendly, people do things for people they like and that they're friendly with. So that's a good behavior in a team environment. And then it starts to get too much of a gap. Now we're going on to the more negative side, where the I is dominating a bit too much. And you're looking at, if you're in a leadership position, passive leadership, where you're going, okay, I got to get stuff done, but I'm going to let them slide on that. That's not good. That's not good. Where you're not willing to be assertive. You're not letting that D come in to just counterbalance out that I. And now you're looking at the worst case scenario, which is the Achilles heel of the I, which is insecurity. So pushing that I down or bringing the D up and closing that gap can keep away from those behaviors where the I is dominating the D, just like the D was dominating the I with those, rushed or tunnel vision and not efficient behavior. So that's how sub-factors work in a nutshell. So let's run through the other sub-factors that we have a little bit more quickly. So I'm going to be just rolling through these, and I highly recommend that you look at these charts, study them. And when you're coaching or mentoring or trying to change your own behavior, bring these charts up, look at where your gaps are in those big deltas and little deltas, and start just tweaking and modulating and going for those behaviors that you want to exhibit for the situation. That's what sub-factors are all about when we're looking at flexing our behavior. It's super powerful as a skill set to have.